Hello and welcome back to another week of Sambo iRacing. We are back for another track guide, this time at Watkins Glen Boot in the F4 on iRacing. If you are new to my channel, what we do is a hot lap and then a breakdown, and we're back in the cockpit one final time with the driving line on. Brake bias is set to 55% around here for me. Any questions, let me know in the comments and let's start the hot lap. Right, let's start the hot lap. Smashing it down the main straight, looking for just before the 100, going to brake up to about 70, trail it off down to 4th, cut the corner, exit nice and wide, can't go too far out there. Now we're flat all the way up to the inner loop. Just trying to keep the steering inputs nice and smooth. So we're aiming over to the left-hand side, but not all the way over to the left-hand side because we want quite an acute angle here as we come in. Little brake, down to 5th, back on the gas nice and early, hold it, hold it, hold it. Little lift, and now back on the gas. It's going to make us exit nice and wide. You're just praying you don't hit the wall. Back over to the right-hand side. Little dab on the brakes, down to 4th gear, smoothly back on the gas. Again, we can exit nice and wide here. Back over to the left, you can brake later than you think because we're going uphill now at the 100. Drop it down to 4th, drop it down to 3rd, really use those revs, back up to 4th. Again, making full use of the track. And at the 100, we brake, drop it down to 3rd. We can come all the way out here and just before the crest, and a brake, drop it down to 3rd. Got to be careful here, very slippy on exit. We can go flat out through turn 10. Get over to the left-hand side. The end of these tyres, little dab on the brakes, down to 4th gear, back on the gas. Don't hit the wall on exit. And over and across the line we go in a 1:46.558. Right, let's do the breakdown lap. Right, breakdown. So first braking marker is just between the 200 and the 100. We brake up to about 70%. We're going to wipe that speed off, trail it off down to the apex, drop it down into 4th. And what we're wanting to do is cut the first level of curb without hitting the second level. That'll allow us to get on the gas nice and early. We can exit out here. What we can't do is leave the curbing with our right-hand tyres. This next bit's very straightforward because we're going flat. Just use the camber that's in the racetrack. And as I say, we want a nice wide entry here into the inner loop, but not too wide because we want a relatively acute angle. So once we get to the 300 on the left-hand side here, we're going to start our turn in. We go onto the brakes up to about 40%. Now we trail it off down to the first apex. We drop it down to 5th. We want to cut that corner. And I'm still not back on the gas here until I hit the second corner. Now I'm flat. Cutting the 3rd and the 4th. Going to mid-track before we start our turn in. Then we're going to do a lift. And then we start getting back on the gas straight away again. And as I say, that'll allow us to exit out wide, but without hitting the wall. Next braking marker, it's a tricky one to spot, but you see this little storm drain on the right-hand side here. Once we get to that, we brake up to about 50%, trail it off, drop it down to 4th, still trailing off the brake all the way down almost to the curb. Then we're just smoothly going back on, and we're at 100% gas. Roughly the apex, looking at the track map here of turn 6. That'll send us out wide, back over to the left-hand side. And it's more or less at the 100 or just before the 100 here, this Zippo sign, that we brake for turn 7. We only go up to about 35%. Trail it off down towards the apex. We drop it down to 4th and then down to 3rd. We can't go on to 100% straight away. We have to wait a little bit. Back up to 4th gear. We exit nice and wide. Up to 5th. And then it's going to be just before the 100 on the left-hand side here that we brake up to about 70%, and again trail it off down to the apex, drop it down to third. We get on the gas nice and early, and you may think, oh, we're not going to stay on the track, but that's fine because we are allowed over the curb out here. Next braking marker, just before we get to the crest of this little rise here into turn 9, we brake up to about 55%. We're going to trail that off and drop it down to third gear. And we're just waiting and waiting and waiting. If we go too early, and it seems like it's going to be open enough to do that, if you go too early, you're going to end up in that blue wall on the right-hand side. But we go finally now. I'll say it's a little bit slippy out there. We're absolutely flat through turn 10. And the final braking marker is the end of this tyre wall on the left-hand side. Just a little dab up to about 35%, trail it off down to the apex, drop it down to 4th, and we're back on 100% at the apex. And that's it, that's the breakdown. We have one final version coming up next with the driving line on without me talking. Enjoy.